Welcome to the Masterclass series, Being Future Ready, brought to you by the Vadhvani Institute of Technology and Policy and the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. We are excited to bring forth leaders, academicians, policymakers, thinkers, strategists, and experts on emerging technologies where they will share their experience, expertise, and advice on digital transformation and the adoption of implementing emerging technologies in the government that results in stronger governance and better public service delivery. In this masterclass, we will have the following agenda for you. We would like to introduce ourselves. We are Vadhvani Institute of Technology and Policy from Vadhvani Foundation. One of the key benefits of the Masterclass series, Being Future Ready, is to meet and interact with industry experts, accomplished government leaders, academicians, and practitioners on emerging technologies and digital transformation. We learn in these sessions their experience, expertise, and advice on digital transformation and the adoption of implementing emerging technologies in the government that results in stronger governance and better public service delivery. To make this experience worthwhile, we will also be awarding a certificate of participation to all registered audience members who attend at least 50% of these masterclass sessions by IIMB and Vadhvani Foundation. So without much further ado, let's dive into our masterclass session today.
Namaskar, good morning, and welcome to the masterclass series of Being Future Ready. This is, of course, a joint initiative from Vadhvani Institute of Technology and Policy as well as IIM Bangalore. So we welcome you today for the 8th session in our masterclass series. We started this series from October of 2022. And today's session is about enhancing citizen access, the imperative of digital platforms and online services for safe, efficient, and seamless government services. My name is Prof. Mitra. I'm from WITP, and I welcome you as one of our hosts for this masterclass session. As some of you did take a look at the agenda, let's quickly take a look at what's coming up for all of us. We'll start with a very quick, succinct introduction from IIM Bangalore, the CSITM team, followed by an intro to WITP. We'll obviously look at the opportunity to earn a certificate through these masterclass sessions. And of course, without much waiting, we will look at a quick introduction for our guest today. This masterclass will be divided into two parts, where we will have our guest speaker for today talk and have a discussion around this particular topic. We will invite all your questions so that you can write these questions in the chat or in the Q&A section of the Zoom platform. Please feel free to write them while the masterclass is in commencement. We will collect those questions, and those questions will be moderated through our moderator for the day, Sri Prakash Kumar. So without much further ado, I give it to Venkatesh to introduce the IIM Bangalore CSITM team.
Morning, everybody. So on behalf of IIM Bangalore and CSITM, it is our pleasure to welcome the Vadhvani team, the speaker of today, Professor Sadagopan, Prakash Ji, Purabi, and the entire Vadhvani team, and all the participants for today's program. We are really excited to have this with Professor Sadagopan, and I'm sure all of you would know him, and we are associated with him in multiple ways. He has been a professor here, and we also have been conducting many events, such as the large ones of the software product management, for which he has been a chair for multiple years. And as you all know, CSITM is a center that has been in existence for 25 years now, and it connects academia, government bodies, and all the industry people. And we conduct many events for the benefit of the researchers and also the government officials. And this is one of them. And we have had many successful events, and we are excited to have one more event today with Professor Sadagopan.
Thank you very much, Venkatesh, for that introduction. Now I would like to invite Sri Prakash Kumar, the CEO for Vadhvani Institute of Technology and Policy, to give us a succinct intro to WITP.
Thank you, Purbi. First of all, I would like to pay my gratitude to my professor who has kindly agreed to address this masterclass. Vadhvani Institute of Technology and Policy is an initiative run by Vadhvani Foundation for skilling of bureaucrats, and our objective is to enable digital transformation that increases impact and outcomes from government's policies, initiatives, and programs. We have three pillars. One is Skilling Academy, where we conduct classroom training programs. And we have also started now keeping self-paced courses on government's LMS called iGot. The second one is we are setting up a lab which will be used as an experience center or executive briefing center come incubation center, where ideas generated during workshops or skilling training program which we do will be converted into POCs. And the third one vertical is where we work on policies especially related to data and technology. So these are the three things which we do, and we are in existence for last 2 years. In the first year of our existence, we trained around 2,000 government officers in classroom basis. And one of our self-paced program called Introduction to Emerging Technologies, kept on iGot, has already been subscribed by 31,000 officers, out of which 26,500 already completed it.
Thank you very much, sir, for that introduction to WITP. We also would like to share with our viewers and attendees that upon attending 50% of all our masterclasses, a minimum of 50% of all our masterclasses, you clearly are ready to get awarded a certificate from IIM and CSITM and WITP. So without much further ado, I would like to take the opportunity to welcome and invite our guest for today's masterclass, none other than Professor S. Sadagopan, sir. He's the director for IIT Bangalore, and he was the founding director from 1999 and 2021. Currently, he's the chairman of the board of IIT Bangalore, Kanchipuram. He has an extensive teaching experience at institutions such as IIT Kanpur, IIM Bangalore, IIT Madras, IIT Bangalore, Rutgers University at USA, and AIT Bangkok at Thailand. Professor Sadagopan has diverse research interests, including operations, research, decision theory, multimedia, and e-governance. He has authored multiple books, chapters, papers, and is also a fellow at IEE in the UK and the Computer Society of India. Professor Sadagopan consults widely across various industries and delivers lectures globally on IT-related topics. He serves on the board of multiple organizations and is actively involved in various councils and committees such as the Karnataka Knowledge Commission and NASSCOM Regional Council. He writes extensively for the popular press as he is featured columnist for the Times of India, of course, the largest circulated newspaper in the world. And he's a graduate from Madras University, India, and Purdue University in the USA. Without much further ado, I welcome our Professor Sadagopan, sir, for the masterclass for today's session.
Good morning. Thank you, Purvi. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Professor Venkatesh. Thank you, Professor Shankdeep. Thanks, IIMB, and thanks, Vadhvani Foundation. So, the next 40 minutes, what I plan to do is something like this. I kind of specifically requested, now we are in the post-COVID world, to have a classroom setting. Instead of sitting before a monitor at home and giving the lecture, I am actually inside the classroom of IIMB. We have a couple of people who are also attending it physically. So this gives me a more natural setting. Okay? The second thing which I am doing is that instead of a monologue for 40 minutes, okay, before 20 minutes of Q&A, so we have broken it down into a series of question answer. So what I call Arjuna Vacha, Krishna Vacha. Okay, so Professor Venkatesh is going to quiz me a set of questions, and then I will keep answering. So this will kind of make it a little more interactive, particularly watching from all over on the internet, sitting before a terminal. So something like this. This is what we have learned in the last 3 years of COVID time. So we have to do innovation in the classroom, particularly for online. So this is what we will do. So within my 40 minutes, 20 minutes, I will quickly take you through the e-governance over the years in the country. and I will kind of highlight. I'm not going to talk about everything because there are lots and lots of things that have been done, but I'm taking a few of them, string the story around, and in the next 20 minutes, I will talk about what are the takeaways. I know that so many of you are kind of logged in from all over the country. You are all implementing e-governance. We are the people who only talk, but you are the doers. So you actually have to know, you should have some takeaways as to what is that we can do with this. Okay, this is how it will be split. So let me start. Professor Venkatesh will ask me the first question. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Professor. So the first question we have is, you have been involved with e-governance applications for a very, very long time. We would like to hear from you, how did it all start?
Excellent. Thank you, Professor Venkatesh. A lot of things have happened in this country, even in 50s and 60s. Particularly for many of you who are much younger, you may not know that Life Insurance Corporation and Indian Airlines, they actually had some of the best coders in a language called autocoder. Autocoder is not even a full-fledged programming language. It is a kind of sophisticated assembler, a set of assemblers. As per IBM, so IBM somewhere said some of the best autocoder coders happen to be people working for Indian Airlines. So we actually had thought of citizen-facing e-governance applications even way back in 50s and 60s. So this is something which I want people to know. And IBM 1401 was one of the cash cow for IBM in those days. So we used to have a machine called IBM 1401, and then we had something interesting. So it is not something which we just started only yesterday. It has been in our DNA for long. So I thought people should not miss that point. Thank you.
The second question, Professor, is, you know that there was a magician who was building an amazing application called Impress in CMC Hyderabad. That is the R&D center of CMC Hyderabad. It's one of the applications that changed the face of citizen-centric computer application. Why do you believe so?
Okay, so that is interesting, Professor Venkatesh. You know, it's kind of nice to kind of get the memory back. 1986, there was a company which many of you probably may not know called CMC, which was a public sector company that finally sold into TCS today. And they had a beautiful R&D building in Hyderabad. And in that building, this whole thing got cooked. And we used to call Dr. P.P. Gupta as the magician because he was truly a legendary, because he could look ahead. What he did was, against a lot of professional wishes, lots of people thought that an application called Passenger Railway System, PRS, for a huge organization called Indian Railways. Indian Railways back then was running 21,000 pairs of trains every day. 21,000 pairs of trains every day. But that kind of a network, that we never had built such large systems. So everyone said you should import something from Canada, something from elsewhere, etc. But I think thanks to Dr. P.P. Gupta, we went alone, built the system. And unusual things we did, we actually wrote it on Fortran. We didn't have enough money, so we did not buy a DBMS. We essentially had a simple file processing system. But today, that system is now run by an organization which was born much later called Center for Railway Information System. And Chris runs it. It is one of the world's largest passenger reservation systems. And remember a few things which we had to do. We had to make it absolutely low cost. We couldn't afford laser printers. We had to get it done on dot matrix printers. Even on dot matrix printer, we wanted to save as much money as possible. A small little slip will be printed, multiple tickets on the one single row, so that we can save on cost. So we needed things that are reliable, that work any part of the country, and also very, very affordable. So dollar costs are a no-no. Rupee cost is a yes, preferably paisa cost. I think that is the message of railway reservation system, CMC. Thank you.
Sir, moving from railways to income tax. So why is the income tax department's computerization so important in your opinion?
Okay, so that is interesting. Sometimes we don't look at it in a particular way. Whether it is insurance or there is railway reservation or airline reservation, this is an option for a citizen. Paying taxes is not an option. It's a duty. Right? So it is a very fundamental difference between these two applications. So, and normally, most of the computer applications, you look at it globally, focused on the nice things to have, not the things that you must do. Income tax payment is a must to do. And normally, whenever people take up those systems, customer care, customer satisfaction, caring for the customer, etc., are the last priority, because you will dish out rules. But I think we should give credit to the income tax department, even though earlier days they were like this. In the last, I would say 20 years, they have dramatically changed. They listen to the customer, they make it easy, they make it accessible, they make it friendly, they make it multi-platform. You have an app, you have on the internet, you can do it by paper. So all that they do, and they created something called 26AS so that they accumulate all of it. Okay, so I think they have come much closer to the customer. And let us also face it that this is one of the first applications where we have to do a performance monitoring. Because I think human beings are human beings. Doesn't matter which country, what age group, etc. If we can postpone things, we postpone things. So most of the people file their income tax on the last day, that is typically July 31st, 30%. So obviously, you need to have performance where millions of people will simultaneously try to log in, and still the system should have decent performance. It will be a degraded performance, but it should not be very bad. Okay, and that we managed to get it for income tax. That's why it is exciting for me.
So now shifting focus to where all the tax money lands. We all know that the khazanas of Maharajas existed. We also understand there is a Khajane project of Government of Karnataka. So could you tell us something interesting about that, since you were involved in that from 1998?
No, I think it's good, So you see, Khajane was a project, and the two underlying infrastructure was a state data center and state wide area network called SWAN. SWAN and STC provide the infrastructure for what is known as a treasury's computerization. And like in many other places, Karnataka has been the leader. So Khajane project obviously started in 1998. I'm privileged. I've been involved from 1998 till today. It's going through Khajane 1, Khajane 2, Khajane 3. What it does is, remember, government needs a lot of money. And government has to collect money, distribute money all over the state. These are all done in treasuries. Quite often, many of us may not even know where a treasury is. But remember, all the teachers have to get a salary. All the policemen have to get their salary. All the so-called Anganwadi workers have to get their salary. So where do they go? And then all the people to do PWD contractors have to make the payment. So these are the places where government's money in and money out happens. And what would be nice if on the day of the budget, a particular department gets an allocation. How does it get spent throughout the year? If we can have almost real-time, near real-time monitoring, so how nice it will be. And that is how Khajane started. And I can tell you this much, again, it's an award-winning project of Karnataka, Government of Karnataka. And several lakhs of employees get their salary on time, every time. Much more interesting, several millions of pensioners get their salary on time, every time, thanks to Khajane. So following Karnataka, every state has equivalent of a Khajane, and every state has an SDC, every state has a SWAN. And then we kind of evolved from Khajane 1 to Khajane 2 to Khajane 3, it's happening. So I'm saying, I think what is nice thing is government as a consumer of technology, these are all unparalleled in the world. I think that is what makes Khajane special.
And the next question is on the banking system. Today we take online banking for granted. And we should also know that there was a lot of opposition from the bank staff unions when this was getting implemented. And could you throw some light on how it happened and what happened?
Thank you, sir. I think it is something which is kind of very dear to me for many reasons. I've been involved very closely with this. And many of you probably may not know there was a time when bank unions went against any attempt to computerization. This was all in 70s and 80s. Come 90s, things changed because all the leaders of the union found to their surprise, their sons and daughters are working for TCS. And sitting in America, earning in dollars, they were sending money which was higher than their father's salary. So their attitude also changed. Okay? That is at the social side. But coming back, there was a bank scam. And we had a very unusual IAS officer called Mr. Nagarajan Vittal. He actually became he was unusual because he was the IT secretary, telecom secretary, became the chief vigilance commissioner. So he put a mandate in 2000. He said before 2010, he gave sufficient amount of time, 10 years, we achieved it much before. He said, in next 10 years, entire banking system must get computers. And that is the reason why a lot of computerization happened. And unions also have kind of withdrawn their opposition. But much more interesting happened right in this town. A company called Infosys decided to also experiment with a software product called Finacle. There was a startup called iFlex, which came up with a FlexCube solution, which was a core banking solution. TCS decided to have a Banks 2000. 3 world-class core banking software products got developed to a large extent in Namma Bengaluru, and that changed the face. And ICICI was one of the first private sector bank to go for this, and Bank of India was the first public sector bank around 2003-04. But by the time 2007, all major banks have got their stuff computerized. Starting from 1991, because of another scam, government decided to set up, you have a beautiful building called National Stock Exchange. We completely replaced the stock broking set of servers. Okay, so we had online trading, and today it is the world's second largest in terms of value, first largest in terms of volume. So what an amazing stuff we have done. And last but not the least, we should realize that the 3 banking software products, Finacle, Banks 2000, and iFlex, which is now part of Oracle, account for more than 50% of the banking accounts globally. Every other banking account in the planet is controlled by software, which comes from this town called Bangalore. What a great feeling you have. Thank you.
So talking of the Indian e-governance space, what do you call as the bread, butter and jam?
Okay, so this is something which internally we call it bread, butter and jam. So something interesting happened. I think there was a very unusual officer called Pandeji, and so he used to be there. So there's one person who was in the banking, financial services, monitoring the whole thing. So 3 independent things happened. So Aadhaar happened starting from 2009. So every Indian, every citizen, every Indian could get an identity. Second thing was, even though we started in 1995, etc., but by the time mobile phones became affordable, accessible everywhere, reached, it probably took, I would say, again 2010, 12, 13. Okay. So what happens is by around 2015, a good number of Indians had Aadhaar. A good number of Indians had access to mobile phone. This was unheard of before. And some people realized that large number of Indians did not have bank account. Said, why can't we have a drive to get more and more Indians get onto the banking? So something which was unheard of in human history, 600 million people got their bank account first time in their life. 600 million people. And what was amazing was this was managed like a project which was, it's like a space mission project. Week after week after week, it was monitored. Actions were taken so that things happened. So these 3 together, Aadhaar, Jan-Dhan, mobile, change. But today we talk about UPI. UPI would not have been possible but for these, right? And a whole range of stuff. Today is so nice. You can go to remote corners of Bihar Karnataka or Kerala or Gujarat, drink a cup of tea, scan a QR and make 20 rupees payment. This looks like a magic. The magic is possible. That's why we call it bread, butter, jam.
So, related question, Professor. So, what is special about Aadhaar and why is UPI important in Europe?
Okay. I think why is Aadhaar special? See, it's interesting. A lot of people will say United States had a social security number, even in 60s. Great. I think they had great stuff. But what people don't realize is the social security number is an identity number, but you can't really use technology to authenticate. But with Aadhaar, because the biometrics are actually captured, so without moving out of quote unquote your bed, you can still be authenticated. Okay, that is the power. Second, what people don't realize is we are the world's most populous country. So when I give the Aadhaar, so the next person who gets the Aadhaar, I have to ensure this is not matching with any of the other identities I had given earlier. As we grow from 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000 to million to 10 million to billion, so the complexity of deduplication increases. Dedupe is a huge operation, huge by any standard in the world. And for a country of our size, it is the ultimate, right? So deduplication we have to do, and we could actually give other identity to 1.4 billion people. And that is, okay. The second reason why UPI is so interesting is, people will say MasterCard existed, Visa existed, okay. But what we don't realize is they all came when there was nothing called mobile phone. But UPI captured the fact that there is a 24/7 network available to the end customer all the time. And that made it much more workable, brought down the cost dramatically. For all practical purposes, most people get UPI free. I think that is because of, so one is the cost effectiveness, second thing is the reach and the sheer convenience. On the top of it, this is also the time when software industry has evolved, APIification has evolved. So people can build applications on UPI. We'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. During COVID, India managed the vaccination process very well. This is our belief. And everyone was using COVID. What do you think is the secret of success?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's very hard to believe that a country like India could manage an operation like vaccination. Remember, we are talking of vaccinating 1.4 billion people. And remember, COVID was very unusual. It was not a single vaccination. It was 2 shots. And then there must be minimum gap between these two. You can't do it today and tomorrow. So you have to have minimum of 3 months, not more than 6 months. With all that, so we could manage the whole thing through something called COVID. COVID is just not one app, but there's a lot of it. We'll talk about it later also. So what happens is people should be able to get a slot book. We should have the logistics. We had to monitor some 63,000 places. We had kept cold storage. We have to monitor the cold storage availability. And we have to ensure that we can't simply give an appointment, because by the time we give the appointment, we have to have the vaccination ready. We should have the nurse ready so that the nurse can actually administer it. And much more interesting, we also monitored surveillance post-COVID vaccination. What people do not know is there were a few hundreds of complications, but we managed all the complications well. We were actually tracking all those complications. So the whole cycle, that means reaching the vaccine, administering the vaccine, monitoring all was done with COVID. And that is what makes it so interesting. And remember, particularly for 1.4 billion people, and a significant number of people did not have to pay. I think that's the beauty.
Thank you, Professor. And how is the global reception to some of the products and platforms they give in this space?
I think the global reception has been very overwhelming. In fact, I have been again personally involved with MOSIP. MOSIP is a modular open source identity program project. And because a lot of people are interested in Aadhaar, but Aadhaar is a solution built for India as a closed form solution. So we just kind of took the whole thing, made it as an open source, and today making it available as a digital public good. Okay, 10 countries have signed up, couple of countries have already implemented, a few millions of IDs have been already issued. Not one, at least tens of millions. So it is so nice to see that, there was a time when we were always thinking of importing solutions. We are kind of building solutions and the world is finding it valuable. Same thing, UPI goes global. Already several countries have kind of signed up, and you will hear more about it when Prime Minister Modi is going to be in the United States. It's interesting.
Thanks, Professor. And you have been involved in many other e-governance applications. Can you share some thoughts?
Yeah. So I would kind of wrap up this one because I want to spend more time on the learnings. But people should realize that the most unexpected places, Tirumala Tirupati Temple, where I almost became the project manager for this project way back in 1999. We have a system called Sudarshanam, and 60,000 to 100,000 people get what is called barcoded identity, which removes the burden of a physical queue into a logical queue. Instead of standing in a queue for a long time, you go there, you get an appointment, you come after 2 hours, you come after 6 hours or whatever. You come at that time, they again scan it and let you go. And this has been working for 20 years, 60 to 100,000 people every day. I think this is, and remember, there is not a single penny charged from the pilgrims, and the Devasthanam is also not spending a lot of money. It's an absolute low-cost solution, a solution that works in the heat of Tirumala and Tirupati, which can be 40 plus, and quite often air conditioning does not work. That's something. FASTag is something which you people all use it every day. And what you people may not realize is it is not just for you and me who are driving a car. So many people are sitting using a public transport. They also benefit. You may say, what is the benefit? I'll tell you this much. Between Chennai and Bangalore, you save about 35 minutes because of FASTag. Because you are able to move much faster. And then for the goods, it is much better. If the goods move faster, the cost of transportation goes down. It benefits everyone. Your tarkari prices, your vegetable prices will be low. Your fruit prices. Thank you.
Some more questions on policy issues, Professor. Now, ChatGPT is the talk of the town now. What is your take on e-governance in the post-ChatGPT world?
Okay, so I think excellent. Request all of you to take a look at ChatGPT seriously. ChatGPT will make your life much easier. Because, particularly as government servants, lots of times you have to make a proposal. You have to make a proposal for the finance committee. You have to make a proposal for the planning commission, NITI, Ayog, for budget purposes. You need something for expenditure secretary, etc. Many of you have to spend hours and hours because sometimes you may not have very capable secretaries, maybe because their salaries are much higher. Maybe if you're a CEO, you can afford one, but if you are a collector, you may not have one. So, but ChatGPT makes it much easier. So a lot of those reports you can generate in a jiffy. Okay, that is number one. Second thing is that you will find that a lot of times as IAS officers and civil service officers, you are expected to do projects for which you may not be trained. So earlier, you have to kind of take much larger effort to look into it. But today, you can again get it in a jiffy. Okay? So do look at ChatGPT. Don't look at it negatively. It will it's not going to take away your job. It will make your job far more efficient and you can do much more. I think that is what I want you to look at ChatGPT.
Thank you. So the next question is on what are the emerging technologies that we should look up?
Okay. So I think a whole bunch of them. So I can't really get into, okay. So we already talked about ChatGPT. Do take a look at the AR VR, particularly the one which Apple launched on 6th of June. 6th of June, Apple had the WWDC, Worldwide Developer Conference, where Tim Cook, the CEO, launched something called Vision Pro. It costs an insane $3,500, right? But don't worry about that. Costs will come down. And remember, when iPhone was launched, it was $499. At that time, the typical mobile phone prices was $20, $30. So it was insane. But what happened was that one is the prices come down. Second thing is the value goes up. Today, the number of things which you can do on a mobile phone is far, far more. In fact, today, you have to ask this question. What is that you cannot do with a mobile phone? You don't ask the question, what is that I can do in the mobile? So something similar will happen. So I think AR, VR will be the big IoT. Okay, so particularly, monitoring the water level in so many tanks in the whole district, monitoring maybe a rabbit, injection for the dog bite all over the health centers, etc. So these things will become in one app. You can just look at it. Okay, IoT will be the magic which will kind of enable you to build things like that. And of course, cybersecurity. So don't look at cybersecurity negatively. Cybersecurity, I always feel, as long as we use the word quality control, people did not accept it. Okay, the moment you said quality assurance, people accepted it. So similarly, cybersecurity provides the comfort that I can do things without worrying about. I think that is what we need to look at it. I'm sorry, there are lots of things, but I just took only 3 of them in the interest of time.
Thanks, Professor. And could you give some thoughts on the lessons that you have learned so far and the lessons that we are in the process of learning?
Okay.
From implementing.
Okay, I will take 3 applications and say what is that learning. I think some of you probably attended Nandan Nilekani's masterclass. Right? He always mentions this, it's so important. The KISS principle. I think one of the key reasons why Aadhaar has been so phenomenally successful is Aadhaar stick to keep it simple, stupid principle, KISS principle. They said that, look, they will take the name, the gender, the date of birth, the address, and the biometric identity. That's it. They did not get into religion, they did not get into profession, they did not get into education. There's a lot of pressure for people to capture. But keeping it simple made it so useful. And it also takes away lots of things. It does not even get into the citizenship. They said we are an identity solution. Citizenship is done by passport, so keep it out. So I think laser sharp focus on the minimal things and keep it simple. I think mobile phone, many of you possibly might know. See, November 23rd, 1995, the first mobile phone ran. Shankdeep, from which city? From Calcutta. Yes, Kolkata. I think it was struggling until around 2004, 2005, one major policy decision. Calling party pays. The called-in party does not pay. Incoming call, you don't have to pay. That made a big difference. But I think the reason why that principle was done was government looked at mobile phone not as a way of making money, but as a way of providing convenience to citizens. So if the larger objective is to provide convenience to citizens, don't look at, you need money to keep the country going. We need taxes to keep the country running. But the purpose is to keep the country running and you collect tax for that. The purpose is not to collect tax. Right? I think that was a clarity of policy. And I think JAM was very simple. Accurate monitoring on a day-to-day basis and not getting put off with some problem. See, a large country like India, when you take up a project involving 1 billion people, there will be projects. And there will be failures, there will be troublemakers, but you have to take them along. You have to get going. So nothing should put you off from the larger goal of achieving. Reaching 600 million bank accounts, new bank accounts is the goal. Come what may, we will do it. I think come what may, we will do it is a principle.
So your thoughts on building solutions really fast.
Okay, so I think it is interesting. I will take this example of COVID. I don't know how many of you have noticed COVID was built in a couple of weeks, not 20 weeks or 30 weeks. Okay, so I don't get into too much of details, it's a secret, but so 4 weeks it was built, 5-6 weeks, it kind of evolved, etc. But remember, COVID was not just one. So there was another stuff called EVIN, which was to do with preparing the whole thing. And then there was something called DIVOC from e-government foundations. I feel very humbled because I happen to be there from day one, of part of the e-gov foundation. So DIVOC is the one which essentially ensured that you could manage the whole distribution. And then we also needed to have the certificates made available. And then DigiLocker was a great way of managing the certificates. And then, of course, we had an app which is a surveillance. So, what the key reason why we could build so fast was, don't try to build all again, all over again. Okay, assemble. I think today, thanks to the API-based assembly of software, it is possible to build software, essentially taking the APIs, putting it together. I think we should give credit to all of the key apps, DigiLocker to Diva. Those APIs were rich and nice. I think you need a rich and nice APIs so that we can build it fast. So today you can build solutions. And remember, we are talking of solutions for a billion people. Population scale apps, population scale applications could be built in these. And I think last but not the least, not to appear jingoistic, but I think finally India got the confidence. We techies also now feel confidence. We can build it. Because there was a long time we thought we have to import. Now we can build it. Okay, I think I would like you to have three important things. One is we slowly kind of got out of importing solutions. We can actually build solutions. Okay. Second, we can build solutions at Indian cost, solutions that work in Indian condition, and solutions that will scale for population scale. Third, I think we also have learned a way of focusing on citizen-centric applications. Okay, not because we want to kind of build one, but because we want to make a difference. Because I think we all know a railway reservation. I still remember when I was a schoolboy or a college student, the kind of frustration I had to make rail reservation. Okay, standing in the queue, etc. But I think much more interesting, it is not only you and me, the janitorial staff, the IRs, they can also do the booking just practically from their mobile phone. I think our ability to kind of build solutions at Indian prices for an average Indian, in fact, a less endowed Indian, at a scale and cost is something that is satisfying. I think that is what makes the e-governance so interesting today.
Hope you enjoyed this masterclass and thank you for watching. Don't forget to tune into our next one.